we'll finish walking through how we do these tests and then do an example to show how this would work. So of our case 2 examples, if fcalc is less than ftable, this is probably more common. The standard deviations are statistically similar. Then the t-test that we're going to do is we calculate a parameter known as a t-value, so t-calc. And we're going to calculate this and compare it to the t-values in the t-table that we've already considered. So if fcalc is less than ftable, then t-calc is equal to the absolute value of the difference of the two means divided by S pooled. This is the pooled standard deviation. We'll write out how to calculate that in just a second. Times the square root of the number of measurements in sample 1 times the number of measurements in sample 2 divided by the number of measurements in sample 1 plus the number of measurements in sample 2. And once we calculate this, we compare it to the t-values in the t-table. So this is table 4-4 in your textbook. And to know what degrees of freedom that we use the degrees of freedom. Since we have two different means that we're adding together, it's n1 plus n2 minus 2. Basically, we subtract a degree of freedom for each average that is done. Okay, so the other thing we need is S pooled. How do we calculate this? And this is essentially a standard deviation that uses both sets of data. I'll just give you the shorter version. There's a longer version in your book, but the shorter version that can be calculated with the standard deviations that have already been calculated is S1 squared times N1 minus 1 plus S2 squared times N2 minus 1 divided by N1 plus N2 minus 2. Okay, so this is the equation that you use the way to calculate a t-value for comparison. S pooled goes in here. And this allows you to decide. So if t-calc is less than t-table, the results agree. The measurements agree. We would say statistical precision. And we take the opposite. If t-calc is greater than t-table, then the measurements do not agree. And of course, when we look up the value in the table, we have to decide what confidence interval we're looking for. So generally, we'll do this at 95% confidence, but we can do it at a higher confidence interval of whether we think they agree with each other, or a lower, of course.